What is going on, movie meals? Dune. I don't even know. I feel like you and
Sorry,
I just
everyone.
made I feel like we just did the theme to like Wonder Woman or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it sounded like. Yeah. Everybody, we just saw Dune. It's Thursday night here. Kyle and I both got a chance to see Dune. Kyle was like, I got a busy week. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to film. And I was like, what if we just get it out of the way right now?
We can do that.
We saw this behemoth of a film tonight.
Part
Let's get
one.
into it. No spoilers to be had whatsoever. But let's start with Kyle here. Kyle, what were your positives of Dune?
Well, going into this, I know nothing about the book. I know nothing about the mythology surrounding plot points or characters. I just knew the cast was great. Denis Villeneuve was in charge of directing and probably the script of this movie, if I recall correctly. So that's all I needed to convince me to get on board with this movie. And even still, despite my enthusiasm, despite my anticipation, I still came away being really impressed and being blown away by what I saw. I mean, this you can just feel that the scope of this story is immense through transferring of the book to film. And I know in the past before it's been so hard to do, but I always had trust in Villeneuve because he's proven to me when it comes to sci-fi movies with interesting concepts like Blade Runner 2049 and Arrival that he has a handling of the genre and he knows how to make it interesting but still have that artistic appeal to it that he has throughout his filmography. And I think he really nailed it in this movie. I still felt that big giant scope of a sci-fi, not so much action flick, more of a drama, if you will. I would classify it more as a drama anyway, but despite its long runtime, I still was entertained by the ideas, by the sci-fi elements of it, the characters especially. And the whole cast was great, but Timothy Chalamet, I think he's really going to be turning heads even more so because more audiences are going to be noticing this guy a lot more as compared to some of the other movies that he's been in the past. Like he's slowly building that audience, and I think people are going to realize, oh, this guy's a really good actor, and yeah, he absolutely is. So yeah, everything that just made this movie as big and as epic as it was, from the acting all the way down to just the set designs, the score, the visuals. It's just all was in such great hands with Denis Villeneuve, and probably for everyone else that was behind this project in the background all the way up to the actors. It's just phenomenal work, and I was so happy that I finally got to see this movie, and I can't wait to see what's going to come next in the sequel, because I'm sure that they're going to be wanting a part 2 to be coming.
This movie's already made $130 million. This weekend, it opened in here, China, the UK. It's opening in major places, but it already had made $130 million before any of the major spots. But like any of the major countries, which is insane. This is a loved book. I've heard about it for so many years. A good friend of mine in high school read it and was like, I remember he was like, this is Star Wars, man. Like, you got to read this. And I was like, I'm not a book guy. That's what I told him. Not a book guy. This is a stolen prop. This is not my copy. But I am an Audible guy. I started the book on Audible. I got about 7 chapters in and I went, I don't know a thing of what's going on here. I was so
slow down.
I wasn't even slow down. It was like somebody needs to sit me down and show me maybe a 2.5-hour film to give me a little bit of context.
If only there was such a thing.
If only there was. Anyway, to get to the movie here. So I was enthralled. I have been championing. How do you say that word? Championing. I have been a big supporter of Denis Villeneuve. He has made 2 of my favorite movies of all time. 10 out of 10 movies for me with Prisoners and Arrival. I think those movies are incredible. I think Arrival is such a unique take on the alien sci-fi genre, and I've been such a supporter of him, and him coming out saying, that he was just such a big fan of Dune. He really loves Dune. He really wants to make Dune what it should be. And I actually had seen the Dune movie way back when, the David Lynch one, and
Mhm.
I didn't like it so much. I forgot all of it. And this movie, I was sucked in. The first maybe half hour, I was kind of sitting there like, man, we're doing a lot of talking here. We're doing a lot of talking. We're doing a lot of walking intensely. Um, and then some. It kind of like explodes, and I was like, all right, I'm just invested in the story. I'm invested in all of this lore that we have going, and now I'm pumped to continue on with the book now that I've got a little bit of context, just how it works for me. Uh, but all the performances were fantastic. The technical awards, get out of the way, Eternals. You're not gonna win. I just don't see. I don't see how any of the technical awards are gonna be won against Dune right now. Dune was beautiful, and we didn't even see it on the biggest screen in our theater. For some reason, they didn't put us in the biggest. They put us in like the second biggest, and
Hmm.
um, they and I didn't even get to see it on IMAX. If I had seen this on IMAX, I would have been blown away. I was
Yeah.
invested. All the performances were fantastic by everybody. I really liked Rebecca Ferguson. She stood out to me a lot as the mother. Timothy, you did a good job, kid. You did a good job. Now,
There it is.
he didn't he always does a good job. He still didn't do anything drastically different for me. I really enjoyed his performance, very similar to what he plays. But I liked it, and maybe it was just more of what I saw in this film. And I thought, I mean, he's a talented actor. He always has been. I just feel I've seen a lot of the same thing from him, and I did feel I saw a lot of what I've seen from him in this. I saw some differences that I really liked. But and so far, this might be my favorite performance of his. I think it was definitely better. I need to see him in a do. He needs to make me laugh. I think that's what it is. I was saying that on the drive home. I think Timothy just needs to make me laugh once, and maybe I would
He's
be on board. But
he's doing the Wonka prequel. That might make you laugh. Don't
it
know if it's
won't.
in the right ways, but
Um, I did, side note here. I thought it was funny. You and I talked a little bit about Denis Villeneuve, um, saying, superhero movies are just cookie cutter. They're all the same. And we were like, Denis, you're not making wrong points. There's a lot of the same in these superhero movies. Marvel does a lot of the same tropes, but they've also done a lot of different things to genre filmmaking. Which kind of told I think you and I, when we were talking, we're like, probably tells us he's not watching all the movies. But and then we talked about, you're also making a big sci-fi epic, and it's not like you're really reaching here. And I felt the same after seeing this. But one thing that really stood out to me is I saw an interview with Timothy Chalamet, and he said that an actor he just absolutely loves and respects gave him two pieces of advice. And one of those, it sounds like that actor, who it was Leo DiCaprio. And he said that the advice was, he gave him two pieces of advice, and one of them was never do a superhero movie. And I'm sitting here being like, you have superpowers in a space epic. I think you're in a superhero movie. That's what I was sitting there the whole time in this movie. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, this kid's in a superhero movie. He just doesn't have a cape. He's in a superhero movie right now. But anyway, I just needed to rant about that because Timothy, you're in a superhero movie. What's wrong with superhero? But stop. Anyway, movie so far is really good. Did you have any negatives?
uh,
Oh, here we go. He's
I
gonna
was kind
trash
of
it.
wondering, did your theater have issues with the audio when it came to them speaking?
No, it's
Did you
not
notice
issues.
any?
That's the movie. Yeah, no, they all talk very soft. They all talk very
Yeah.
gruff. It's hard to hear a couple lines of dialogue. Not a complaint for me. I just don't care, to be honest. I
I
didn't
care a
care.
little, especially with a story like this. I would like them to be a bit clearer when it comes to like important details of what's going on, but it didn't bother me all that much. That's probably like the one thing that I could really pick out of this. Otherwise, you can tell that a lot of thought and effort was put into this project. Nothing was cheap. Nothing was strikingly terrible at all, or even like minusculely bad. That was probably like the only thing. Other than that, though, you could tell like that Denis Villeneuve was really able to capture this story pretty well, at least part of the story so far.
Yeah, there's only one scene I thought to myself, that might have been important. I kind of missed it. I didn't fully understand what he got outside of that. And then by the end of the movie, I was like, I don't think that line was as important. For the most part, I caught everything, but there were a few times. Yeah. My theater was pretty packed. It wasn't full, but I mean, it was the closest elbows to elbows full theater I've been in since Rise of Skywalker, which was the last major movie I've seen where it was that big and before the pandemic. So it was kind of felt nice to kind of have that atmosphere, but this isn't the type of movie to have like the gasps or the scares or the cheers that we get from that kind of crowd. But it was pretty good. And it was a very interesting mix. I don't know how yours was, but we had there were like middle school, high schoolers. There was much older people. There was younger people. It was everybody, which I thought was real interesting. I think they cast it right. Timothy and Zendaya were, I think, enough to get the younger audiences who want to see a sci-fi epic. And then the book has the weight to get everybody else. But
I mean, not only those two, but Jason Momoa, Dave Bautista, Oscar Isaac, even maybe Rebecca Ferguson, and I don't know, Stellan Skarsgård. There's Stellan Skarsgård fans out there, diehard
Skarsgård where the hell but was Stellan Skarsgård?
He was the evil guy. I'm spacing on his name now, but
you mean our big boy?
Yeah, big boy.
No, I thought he looked familiar. I was like, why does this guy look so familiar? And I could not place it. Stellan
Are you
Skarsgård.
Leonardo DiCaprio?
Are you Leo? Are you in a superhero movie right now, Leo? And you've just hidden it. You've just tried to hide it. I think you're in a superhero movie there, bud. I
can spot him a mile away.
It's so true though. I left the movie and I was like, this is a freaking superhero movie. Like there's superpowers. This is literally Star Wars Game of Thrones. It's just a mesh of the two. Dune those are meshes of those. Yeah, I'm saying that. Yes, I mean, there's so much that that Star Wars was inspired by Dune. Some of it I think is ripoffs. Some of it I didn't think. My brother read the book. He's like, man, they ripped so much off of Dune for Star Wars. And I was like, I think that's a little bit more inspirational than it is ripoff. But because a ripoff seems like it's negative, and I don't feel like anything was negative. But this is bit superhero-y. It's bit big budget, and I think it's meant to be. It's a sci-fi epic. It's awesome. It was a lot of fun, and I don't have this complaint because I really don't have any negatives with the film. I was enthralled. I really want to see it again. But I've seen quite a few tweets from critics I really like, from fans saying that it's just a snooze fest. It's boring, and I get it. I can see where that's coming from. But for me, it comes down to one thing. Are you checked in to paying attention to what's going on and curious about what is happening and everything that's going on and like all these reveals and these layers? Or are you wanting that a little bit more spoon-fed to you? And which is not a bad thing. And I think for a small majority, it sounds like they would prefer to have a little bit more spoon-fed. Although the beginning is just, I don't know if you felt this, but in the beginning, I was like, is this a Nolan movie? We are exposition dumping right now. We are just vomiting exposition in the first like 15 minutes of the movie. But for me, it was fine because I needed it. But you got any other thoughts on this film? I've talked a lot, but I have a lot to say.
I do think, depending on your taste, it could be a movie that's not for everyone. People might be thinking like, oh, it's sci-fi. That means it's action-packed, and there's going to be a lot of stuff happening really quick. And
there's some good action.
It's just not that type of movie. But I don't know. Judging by the crowd that showed up at my theater, that could be a lot of like fandom type stuff, like pooling in at once to see this thing. But I don't know. Maybe as long as people can recognize that, the story is interesting, the characters are good, that they'll be willing to sit for the 2.5 hours of its runtime and will be sucked in as much as I was, and the rest of the theater seemed like. There was applause at the end, so which honestly kind of
Really?
surprised me. I wasn't really sure
Wow,
what to
we didn't have
expect
that.
by my crowd, but everyone was silent until the end, and then there was applause. So hey, I don't know,
Hmm.
maybe this will work out. Also, please go see this in theaters if you can. If you are able to do it as safely as possible, go see it in theaters. It will be so much better than seeing it on any sort of TV.
Yeah, HBO Max is putting it out tonight. It's out on HBO Max, and I think that's just an absolute mistake.
Yeah, but
Also,
their stockholders need to see results.
no. Was it Hans Zimmer?
It might have been. Yeah.
The
Let me
score is
double check.
incredible. I
Yeah, it's fantastic.
loved the score. I thought the score stood out in just an absolutely great way for me.
Yeah,
They
Zimmer.
also, yeah, oh yeah, I figured, I thought it was Zimmer. Zimmer, oh
Yeah.
man, he's becoming John Williams. He's becoming a top tier guy. It's just insane.
Oh yeah,
Um,
he's fantastic.
he's
Of
so
course.
good. Loved the score. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, this movie's awesome. This movie is awesome from start to finish for me. I want to see it again. Go see it on the biggest screen you can. Uh, it's so good. I did read they have not officially announced a part two. I wish they had kind of just greenlit one huge movie and they just shot it back to, all at the same time, like they do with Endgame or Lord of the Rings or whatever, just so Denis could have it. And then if, the movie flopped, you could just put it out on the DVD. But they're not going to do that. But I read an article today that was released today where one of the producers, or maybe there was the head of WB, said he didn't want to break any news, but it is something they are thinking about, and they're very happy with the $130 million it's already made before it opens in all major areas. So hopefully it gets greenlit quick, because I don't want to wait any longer. But all
Yeah,
right.
hopefully it does. It's great.
Guys, what did you think? Comment below. Let us know. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Thank you to Movie Meal patrons. And as always, thanks for watching, Mom.
See you guys.